is Ulta Naam Jagatya Dhara, which means the whole Naam Ram was, reversed as Mara. And the Lord, being so merciful, accepted this also and granted him the supreme fortune of writing the epic Ramayana. The holy name of the Lord is so strong that even when asked to circumambulate the world, Lord Ganesh ended up writing Ram and circumambulated it thrice. As Gajendra and Draupadi called out the holy names of the Lord himself appeared to say them either in a physical form or in the form of the cloth. That holy name, through the mercy of our Gurus and Vaishnavas, has been given to us. So we can express our gratitude by chanting with sincerity and calling out to the Lord to help us engage in his devotional service. Bead by bead, let us plead for devotional service to the Lord. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce Her Grace Keshav Kamini Mataji, who would be leading the chanting session for us today. Over to you, Mataji.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी। प्रणाम सभी वैष्णव के चरण में कोट प्रणाम। भगवान नाम की जप में होने वाले 10 अपराध। भगवान नाम के प्रचार में संपूर्ण जीवन समर्पित करने वाले महाभागवतों की निंदा करना, शिव ब्रह्मा आदि देव के नाम को भगवान नाम के समान अथवा उनसे स्वतंत्र समझना, गुरु की अवज्ञा करना अथवा उन्हें साधारण मनुष्य समझना, वैदिक शास्त्रों अथवा प्रमाणों का खंडन करना, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र के जप की महिमा को काल्पनिक समझना, पवित्र भगवान नाम में अर्थवाद का आरोप करना, नाम के बल पर पाप करना, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र के जप को वेदों वर्णित एक शुभ सकाम कर्म कांड के समान समझना, आठ श्रद्धालु व्यक्ति को हरि नाम की महिमा का उपदेश करना, भगवान नाम के जप में पूर्ण विश्वास न होना और इसकी इतनी अगाध महिमा श्रवण करने पर भी भौतिक आसक्ति बनाए रखना, भगवान नाम का जप करते समय पूर्ण रूप से सावधान न रहना भी अपराध है। प्रत्येक वैष्णव भक्त को चाहिए इन 10 प्रकार के अपराधों से सदा बचकर रहे, ताकि श्री कृष्ण के चरण कमलों में प्रेम शीघ्रता से शीघ्र प्राप्त हो, जो मनुष्य जीवन का परम लक्ष्य है। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hello,
Hare
Prabhu, Mataji.
Ram Ram
Mataji.
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advait Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advait Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advait Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरे हरे बोल, जय पताका स्वामी महाराज की जय।
Jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your wonderful chanting. And now that we have chanted and purified our minds, let's prepare our consciousness for further absorption and get ready to hear the ever glorious Srimad Bhagavatam from His Grace, Adi Jagannath Prabhu. Actually, if you notice, Srimad Bhagavatam shares the glories of itself in the scripture. Perhaps it is also one of its only kind, because Bhagavatam starts off with Shukadev Goswami suggesting Parikshit Maharaj to listen to Bhagavatam in order to fulfill the purpose of his life and attain the abode of the Lord. Narad Muni suggests Vedavyas to write Bhagavatam to become peaceful. This is the power of Bhagavatam, recitation of which gives peace and grants an entry into the abode of the Supreme Lord, and also helps us understand how do we perform pure devotional service. So over to Shri Ram Krishna Prabhu to please introduce Anadi Jagannath Prabhuji to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Diksha Mataji. Thank you so much for taking up the service. Thank you. Today we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Anadi Jagannath Prabhu, disciple of His Holiness Jaipataka Swami Maharaj. Prabhu has been practicing Krishna consciousness since his college days in 2000. He had the good fortune of personally serving His Holiness Jaipataka Swami Maharaj in Los Angeles in the year 2009 and 2010. And after that, along with his other responsibilities in the temple, he is the chief facilitator of Gita Dhyan, an online Bhagavad Gita program of ISKCON Sheshadripura. And Prabhu is known for his lucid style of teaching Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And moreover, many of us, we know very well that the Throwback Thursday, a very important section glorifying His Holiness Jaipataka Swami Maharaj by various senior disciples of His Holiness Jaipataka Swami Maharaj and sharing their experience with Maharaj. So many of you are joined, and we are still some of them are joining there. So we are very fortunate. Thank you, Prabhu, for joining with us. Even though you are a very busy schedule in the Sheshadipuram temple, still you are joining with us. Thank you. Over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the opportunity to share Srimad Bhagavatam with all of you. I'm very grateful to yourself and Gopigana Mataji who has given the opportunity. So we'll just sing a small bhajan and we'll start up with the class. I'll just share my screen, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
This goes with the verse of today. This is a song called Bhaja Hure Mana. Maybe you can sing on mute if you all want. I'm not such a great singer, but we'll set the right precedence for the class today. Before we start, we can just read the meaning of this song. And the song is written by Govindadas Kaviraj in Bengali. It says, O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which make one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at night, I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons, and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is the desire and great longing of Govinda Das to engage himself in the 9 process of bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving him as a friend and completely offering the Lord's one very self. So this actually sets the mood for this today's verse, which is a very, very nice verse. Bhaja hure mana Sri Nanda Nandana Bhaya Charanara Vindare Durlabhamana janame satsange taro hoye bhava sindhure Bhaja hure mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Durlabhamana bhajanama satsange taro hoye bhava sindhure Sita tapa bata bari sana Sita tapa bata bari sana Edina jamini jagire Edina jamini jagire Bifale se vino kirpana durajana. Bifale se vino kirpana durajana. Chapala sukhala balagire. Chapala sukhala balagire. Nidana jovana putra parijana ibeki ache parati tire. Nidana jovana putra parijana ibeki ache parati tire. Kamala dala jala jivana talamala. Kamala dala jala jivana talamala. Bhajahu hari pada nitire. Bhajahu hari pada nitire. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyade. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyade. Pujana Sakhi Jana Atma Nivedana. Pujana Sakhi Jana Atma Nivedana. Govinda Dasabhi Lasare. Govinda Dasabhi Lasare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jayo Radha Madhav. Jayo Panchatattva, Jayo Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jayo Panchatattva. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Jai Jai Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Shri Radha Madhava Ashta Sakhi ki jai, Shri Pantattva Bhagwan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. We are supposed to read today Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 5th chapter, 43rd verse onwards. So I just thought I'll take only the 43rd verse because this itself was a lot of thing. So Prabhu, you'll have to forgive me for taking only one, but I'll just take this. So this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Nascha Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naischiki. Mukham karoti vachalam pangulangayati girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Yam Tatsat. Viswasya Janma Stiti Samyamarthe Krita Vatarasya Padam Bhujam Te व्रजेम सर्वे शरणं यदिशा स्मृतं प्रयच्छति अभयं स्वपुंसाम् विश्वास्य जन्मस्थिति संयमार्थे कृतावतारस्य पदं भुजं ते व्रजेम सर्वे शरणं यदीशा स्मृतं प्रयच्छति अभयं स्वपुंसम्. Synonyms: Vishwasya, of the cosmic universe, Janma, creation, Sthiti, maintenance, Samyama, Arthe, for the dissolution also, Krita, accepted or assumed, Avatarasya, of the incarnations, Padam, Bhujam, lotus feet, Te, your, Vrajema, let us take shelter of, Sarve, all of us, Sharanam, shelter, Yat, that which, Isha, O Lord, Smritam, remembrance, Prayachati, awarding, Abhayam, courage, Swapumsam, of the devotees. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Lord, you assume incarnations for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, and therefore we all take shelter of your lotus feet because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees. Purport, small purport, so we'll just read it out. For the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestations, there are three incarnations: Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar. They are the controllers or masters of the three modes of material nature which cause the phenomenal manifestation. Vishnu is the master of the mode of goodness, Brahma is the master of the mode of passion, and Maheshwar is the master of the mode of ignorance. There are different kinds of devotees according to the modes of nature. Persons in the mode of goodness worship Lord Vishnu. Those in the mode of passion worship Lord Brahma, and those in the mode of ignorance worship Lord Shiva. All three of these deities are incarnations of the Supreme Lord Krishna because he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods directly refer to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and not to the different incarnation. The incarnation of Vishnu in the material world is, however, directly worshipped by the demigods. It is learned from various scriptures that the demigods approach Lord Vishnu in the ocean of milk and submit their grievances whenever there is some difficulty in the administration of universal affairs. Although they are incarnation of the Lord, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva worship Lord Vishnu, and they are also counted among the demigods and not as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who worship Lord Vishnu are called demigods, and persons who do not do so are called asuras or demons. Vishnu always takes the part of the demigods, but Brahma and Shiva sometimes take the side of the demons. It is not that they become one in interest with them, but sometimes they do something in order to gain control over the demons. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshchaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarni. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Swasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashaya Bhutala Smati Japtaka Swami Nam Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kipa Padaya Gaur Katha Dhamadaya Ramatani. So a wonderful verse. I know it's early morning for you all. You all are starting this in the Brahma Muhurta, and what a verse to meditate on. It's a wonderful verse to actually meditate on. And this actually comes in the third canto. Third canto actually happens to be the discussion between Vidura and Maitreya. Most of that are Maitreya and Vidura Uvacha. And actually sets a very right context for us Vaishnavas on how we should respect each other. Vidura Maitreya Uvacha is mostly to give, it's like it sets no Maryada Vatikram is done in that. That's the word they say that. They say that because when Vidura meets Uddhava, Uddhava knows everything. But Vidura, when he asks Uddhav that how are you, how is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and and Uddhava says about the passing away of, or not passing away, cannot use the word, but the disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Vidura is little heartbroken. But Uddhava says, hey, everyone when they leave their body, they try to remember Krishna. But you know what? When Krishna was leaving, Krishna was remembering you, man. that's like so amazing. That means Vidura was not a ordinary individual. The Lord, of course, remembers all of us. The Lord does, but Lord specifically when he's talking to Uddhava, he remembered Vidura. And it so happens that the fact that nothing happens by chance, it gets more so stressed out here, that when the Lord is speaking to Uddhava, a Jnani by the name of Maitreya happens to wander around. He comes and he stands there. And he also happens to hear the conversation. So Maitreya is called Maitreya Muni. Prabhupada says elsewhere, Nana Muni, Nana Mata. That means if someone is a Muni, they should have their Mata. They should have their own philosophy. So Maitreya was something of that kind. But Maitreya, by hearing the Lord speaking to his wonderful devotee, he also turns to a devotee, almost like the same way how the Kumaras, just by smelling the tulasi leaves, they became devotees from Jnanis. Similarly here, just by listening the conversation between Krishna and Uddhava, Maitreya became a wonderful devotee and ready as a spiritual master to impart the knowledge. So when Uddhava is being asked by Vidura, Uddhava thinks, hey, he knows everything, but still he's asking me. That's the beauty of Krishna Katha. You know, still you want to hear more and more and more, and you want to hear from many people. So he's still asking, so, but should I say no? He says, no, that's not correct for me. So he gives an excuse for himself. See, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has given me some things to do. I have to do some services, so I have to go. And Vidura says, hey, so you're going to leave me heartbroken? He says, no. Whatever we spoke, there was one more person who was sitting there who was also listening. So he will tell you he's somewhere here nearby. Go find him out. Because he finds that, okay, Vidura is a senior devotee to me. How can I speak in front of him? Vidura thinks that Maitreya is senior to me. So how can I speak in front of him? So he says, let me not speak. There is someone else who will speak to him. He doesn't say not to give Krishna Katha, but he says, how will I speak? Let Maitreya speak to him. And so he asks Vidura to meet Maitreya, and Vidura meets Maitreya, and they start up the conversation. So Vidura, in this chapter itself, we see Vidura asks question to Maitreya Rishi, and he asks how to live for real happiness, and describes something about Purusha avatars, Leela avatars. See, all these questions, some of these questions are the same questions. The questions are not different. Even when we start up the first canto, the sages are asking to Suta Goswami, they also ask about Purusha avatar, Leela avatar, etc. They ask that. So the same question gets answered, and then Suta at that time say, hey, whatever questions you're asking, previously this gentleman has asked, our Parikshit has asked to Sukadev. And we see that between Parikshit and Sukadev, when Parikshit is being answered to Sukadev, sorry, Sukadev is answering Parikshit, Sukadev says, hey, you're not asking a new question. This is the same question which Vidura has asked to Maitreya. That means all these wonderful devotees are actually asking the same questions, because the same questions bring more and more interest, and our faith increases on the Supreme Personality of God. That's what is most required. Huh? And what does Vidura say in one of the conversations? He says, hey, too much of Mahabharata. Vidura says, I'm satiated with hearing of Mahabharata. I want to hear pure Krishna Katha. So much war, this, that. Vidura has himself been a part of Mahabharata. He has seen that. So he's also seen, he has heard it from Vyasadeva. But he says, I want pure Krishna Katha. No more of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Tell me something more. And he says that just say me Krishna Katha that vanquishes miseries and all of that. Almost the same type Parikshit says at one point of time, almost at the end of first canto, not first canto, second canto, first chapter around. He says that I'm not at all feeling hungry. I need to hear pure Krishna Katha. So that should be our magic, like every time we should just look out for pure Krishna Katha. And when he asks that, he then says, Maitreya then responds back. Maitreya says, hey, you are a wonderful Shrota. Because you are wonderful, so that's why you will inspire me that I can speak something nice. He says, you are the son of Vyasadeva, you are Yamaraj himself. So I'll speak to you. Almost the same type. Sutta also glorifies the sages of Naimisharanya, saying that it's because of you that I'm speaking across. Why is this? That means the Shrota are very, very, very important to bring the Vakta to the right consciousness to speak the right words at the right time. It should be the blessings of the Shrota. Because the way they ask the present, that will put the Vakta in his right place. And he will, under the blessings of the Parampara, he can speak something nice. So I also request all of your blessings that I can speak something nice which will be beneficial for all of us. And then that's when Maitreya Rishi starts describing the process of creation in this verse, right? We saw between somewhere 22 to 38, almost that. And then he says how the devatas are offering the elemental devatas. They are offering the prayers to the Lord. And it is during this time that he's speaking about the advantages, or rather while glorifying, he's glorifying the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. That's where this verse comes up, right? This verse comes up as a matter of prayer, wherein he says that the elemental demigods are saying, you assume incarnations for creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. Therefore, we all take shelter of your lotus feet because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees. That means they are saying that you are taking incarnations. So, and Prabhupada has explained here that for creation, he speaks about the three guna avatars. So avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar, they are also the avatars of Krishna. In fact, just a funny incident, little digressing, but I'll just say that happened to be in Navadvip Mandal Parikram one year, and Navadvip Mandal Parikram, all the sannyasis and everyone comes, and so we were all there, and we happened to go to this place where he washed his hands. Hiranyakashipu, Narasimhadev washed his hands, Narsimapalli, and in Narsimapalli, when at that place, I think Navayogendra Maharaj, he was giving the class, and Maharaj was giving the class, and all of us were sitting in the class, and Maharaj then said, Narsimhadev ki, and everyone said Jai. And then suddenly Maharaj said Hiranyakashipu ki, and the total crowd was all very very much in that mood. The devotees is like, Maharaj bol rahe hain to kuch he should be saying something. So everyone said Jai, and then Maharaj gave back in he says, you all are not listening to the class, you're doing this, you're doing that. And then what happened was And everyone were very I mean, they started being very cautious. And the next place we happened to go was Harihara Kshetra. So Harihara Kshetra, you have Lord Shiva also. And there Maharaj again gave a small class, many sannyasis. And Maharaj then said, Lord Shiva ki. And then the devotees didn't know what to do. Should they say Jai or should they not say Jai? And they were like, they didn't say Jai. And Maharaj again gave a beating to all of us. How can you not glorify Lord Shiva? He's an incarnation of the Lord. What is this? What is it? And all of us were just beaten blue and black. And it's like, the glories of the pure devotee. So, so here, actually, Srila Prabhupada is specifically calling it out that the Lord Shiva is an incarnation of Krishna. So we give due respect to Lord Shiva. Only thing is, of course, in our second offense to the holy name, we say to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. We say about the names that we cannot consider it independent, but here he's calling out Shiva. But then very clearly Srila Prabhupada is calling it out. And that's why Prabhupada, the Yuga Acharya, he's so clearly calling it out that though they are incarnations, but they are still called demigods. They're still called demigods. Prabhupada writes it very clearly here. I hope you all saw that. He says that, here he says, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva worship Lord Vishnu, and thus they are also counted amongst the demigods and not as the supreme personality of God. And then he gives one more thing. He says, person who worship Lord Vishnu are called demigods. That means all of you are demigods now. And the persons who do not are called Asuras. So because all of you are praying to Lord Vishnu, all of you are demigods. So demigods are attending the Bhagavatam class today. So that's another way of seeing it. But the topic on which I wanted to stress out on today's this discussion was the second part of the verse, in which he says, while they're glorifying that, they say, we all take shelter of your lotus feet because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees. Smritam prayachati abhayam swapumsam. They give abhayam and they give smritam. So that means just by worshipping on the lotus feet or by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, you have courage. That's what we were singing today also in the song today, which we took up, Bhajahure mana Srinanda Nandana. Abhaya Charanaravindare. If you just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, it will make one fearless. Because who is going to take care when you take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord? None other than the supreme personality of the Godhead. You just become abhayam, because it's just like you, if you put an iron rod, Srila Prabhupada writes that if you put an iron rod in a refrigerator, it accepts the qualities of ice. When you put the same iron rod into fire, it assumes the quality of fire. Similarly, when we are in the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we get the quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is Abhayam. The Lord is never fearful of anyone. Rather, death personified also is afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And while thinking of that, I actually happened to stumble around a verse. This verse comes in the 11th canto, 5th chapter. 11.5 is actually a very interesting chapter for us Gaudiya Vaishnavas. 11.5.32. Anyone remembers what is 11.5.32? Without seeing Google, please. You all know this, but whether you remember it on the top of your tongue or not. Anyone? No? When I saw it, you will feel a little, you will think that, oh, this, I just knew that. Okay, let me just pull it up now. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes, who was that, Prabhu? Radhikapati Prabhu. Jai Radhikapati Prabhu. Thank you for calling it out. So, I'm actually going to see just the next verse after that. So, like Prabhu said, 11.5.32 is actually about speaking about the glorious appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and saying us about the um, incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, let me just show that verse to you. It's nice. Krishna Varnam Tvisa Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yajna Sankirtana Prayar Yajanti Sumedasa. Karbanjana Muni once again stating about the incarnation, the golden incarnation, right? Where Krishna Varnam. It will take who is Tvisa Krishnam, who is not blackish. But just the next verse of it actually speaks about the glories of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because we were just seeing the verse in which it said, if you surrender, if you pray to the worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, it gives you courage. So what else does meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord gives us? Dhyayam sada paribhavagnam abhishchadoham तीर्थास्पदं शिवविरञ्चिनुतं शरण्यं भृत्यार्थिहं प्रणतपालभवाब्धिपोतं वन्दे महापुरुष ते चरणारविन्दम्. Says, my dear Lord, you are the Mahapurusha. Mahapurusha can be also referred to as Purushottama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I worship your lotus feet, which are the only eternal object of meditation. Dhyayam, they are the only thing which is fit to be meditated upon. You can meditate upon your job, you can meditate upon your spouse, you can meditate upon your fiancé, you can meditate upon your wealth, you can meditate upon X, Y, Z. But the only fit thing to be meditated upon is the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what do? Paribhavagnam. It says, those feet destroy the embarrassing conditions of material life and freely award the greatest desire of the soul, the attainment of pure love of Godhead. He says that Abhishchadoham, the true desire of the soul. What is the true desire of the soul? The true desire of the soul is actually to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how will that come? That will only come by meditating on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, on lotus feet of Chaitanya. When you meditate on the lotus feet of Chaitanya, it will give us Abhishchadoham. And then he says, and my dear Lord, your lotus feet are the shelter of all holy places and all saintly authorities in the line of devotional service, and are honored by powerful demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Once again, bringing Brahma and Shiva here in this verse also. Basically, he calls Shiva Virinchinutam. Virinchi is actually referring to Brahma here. So he says that even Brahma and Shiva are praying. You're honored by powerful demigods. My Lord, you're so kind that you willingly protect all those who simply bow down to you with respect. He's not saying here, Prabhupada writes in this purport, he's not saying here that only exalted devotees will be given. He's saying, Bhrityarthiham pranata pala. Bhrityarthiyam, of your servants which relieve the distress, Pranatapala, O protector of all, who simply offers respect to you. Just if you bow down in front of him, he's going to relieve the stress. That's it. And in conclusion, my Lord, your lotus feet are actually the suitable boat for crossing over the ocean of birth and death, and therefore even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva seek shelter at your lotus feet. So just by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead's lotus feet, the same lotus feet which is being worshipped by Mother Lakshmi all across, he says that if you just simply bow down there, you do not even massage the lotus feet like Mother Lakshmi does. If you simply bow down, you will be protected from everything. And the Lord will mercifully relieve the distress of his servants. We have seen that. We have seen that at different point of time. One point of time, Srila Prabhupada was praying to their lordships, and before that, and one of the servants, one of the devotees heard that. What was Prabhupada's prayer? Prabhupada's prayer was, please, I'm surrendering to your lotus feet so that I may not fall down. How can you fall when you are clung to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? How can you fall down at all? It was like Lord Ram was also amazed by this potency. Lord Ram was walking down, and Lord Ram saw super fast. We hear how much long time each temple takes to build, long time it takes to build a temple. Our temple of Vedic planetarium is getting built and built and built, and I hope we'll be able to see the temple of Vedic planetarium. But similarly, the monkeys were building the bridge also between one place to the other. And what happened was, when they were building the bridge, it so happened that on all the stones they wrote the name of Lord Ram. They wrote Ram, and when they put it, what happened? That didn't sink. That just stayed. It became a bridge to cross over the ocean. Lord Ram came, and Lord Ram then saw, oh, how's it? They are taking it up, they're putting it, it is just floating. So he also took a stone up, and he also threw it. As soon as he threw it, that stone didn't float. That stone, boom, it went down. And then the Lord was literally puzzled. Of course, that's this pastime of the Lord. How can the Lord be puzzled? But the Lord was puzzled. And Hanuman was there nearby. Hanuman started smiling. Hanuman said, anyway, you know it, but still let me say you. These all stones are delivered because just their name is written on, your name is written on top of them. But you threw a stone out. If you threw off a stone, who will give shelter to that? If you threw a stone, who will give shelter to that? No one can give shelter, because you are the supreme shelter. The lotus feet of the Lord is the supreme shelter. So if we can cling to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God, and that too to Gaurasundar, who is not even checking any qualifications. He's just seeing that how I can give love of God. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namah. It's like very, very difficult to meet Krishna. Very difficult. And more difficult is to get love for him. So you can meet some person, but to awaken your love for that person means you have to have a relationship with that person. But then he has himself come in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and he is actually giving out that Krishna Prem without any barrier. And what you have to do, you have to just cling to the lotus feet, and then he will give it. And because of that, the same Brahma and Shiva, we are seeing this, no? This Brahma and Shiva. What does Brahma come as? Brahma came down as Haridas Thakur. And what Shiva came out? Shiva came as Advaita Acharya. So this Brahma Shiva, whom we are saying incarnation of, also, they are also saying that there is no better person than this. Let us go, we'll get love of Godhead. Simply it's done. But we are missing this opportunity. We sometimes give a little more priority to our work here, there, here, and we think it's better to serve the boss. But Govindaraj was singing that Bipale se binu kirpana durajana chapala sukhala bhala gire. Just for that instant. What is the instant thing? Your instant could be your yearly bonus. Your instant could be that I should have a Merce car. Your instant could be anything. Yesterday someone sent me a photo. I don't know how truth was that photo, how honest that photo was, but someone sent me a photo, and he sent me the photo. Actually, was the tomb of the ruler of UAE. One of he had passed away now. he passed away. Our government of India also had a day of mourning, and it just showed the photo of it. The tomb was just some maybe 1 feet by 7 feet or something, 1 feet by 6 feet. That was what was covered with sand, and was written, "This is the fate of a person who has." Mentioned some hundreds of dollars of reserve and this much oil fields and all of that. What happened? Nothing. Where is he lying down now, if you have to see? So devotees are not so much worried about that. What are devotees worried? Devotees are more worried about afterlife. Devotees are worried that how I can go and I can serve the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because that is what even Mother Lakshmi at certain point of time, if you go to I think it's Bandaravan or somewhere in Vrindavan, you'll see at one point of time Mother Lakshmi is also folding her hand. She's folding her hand and she's praying that let me be also allowed into this Golok Vrindavan pastimes. So important. And who is taking us into this Golok Vrindavan pastime if which is not Gaura Sundar? How would we have known at all about this? Otherwise, we all would have maximum means we could have gone to Vaikuntha Loka. But there again, we have to stand very strict, erect. But here, we have a wonderful opportunity to participate in the glorious pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, Mother Lakshmi says, I have never seen my husband so joyful. He's usually standing he's either sleeping or standing very strict, erect, with the Sanga Chakra. He'll be standing with this, you may have seen. So even for that, of course, he's also an eternal astray, different moods. But the essential point I was saying was, for us, Gaura Sundar's lotus feet is so easily accessible because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have, our movement is Gaudiya Vaishnava. We all are wonderfully under ISKCON Guru Vrinda. We are all practicing the tenets, whatever Srila Prabhupada has given. And just by taking the shelter of this lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, everything will become auspicious. Everything. I think Krishnadas Kaviraj writes that if even the biggest obstacles will become smaller if we just surrender to the lotus feet of the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And if we don't surrender to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, then the smallest can become very big, and we may have to just think of about our own ability, and we forget that the ability also comes from Krishna. Krishna has written that the ability comes from me. So all that is very, very easily possible if we can actually surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And actually in this verse itself, he says that the last one, it says that Bhava Dipotam. He says, just by surrendering this at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even people like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was such a big Jnani, he got saved from the desire for liberation. So we sometimes go and we ask for liberation, mukti chahiye mujhe, kyun aa rahe ho, mukti chahiye mujhe, I need mukti. But in this verse, if you read that 11.5.33 in that purport, Bhakti Vedanta Swami actually writes how Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was saved from mukti. He was saved from mukti. For us, mukti, for some of us, it means like mukti is the best thing. Hey, इस दुनिया से तो निकल ही जाना है, मुक्ति चाहिए. But Bhakti Siddhanta Swami was saved from mukti. And in that same verse, he says, Prataparudra was saved from bhukti, material opulence. And Sarvabhauma was saved from mukti, liberation, just by surrendering at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These two are the most important things we all look out for. We all either look out for bhukti or we look out for mukti. And what did Chaitanya do to Maharaj Prataparudra? When Maharaj Prataparudra came, I won't meet that person. Totally worldly person. I'm a sannyasi. How can I meet that person? He will I will get affected. How can someone affect the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Can the dirty water of the drain affect the sun rays? No. Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction that the sun rays is prophylactic. That means wherever it falls, it will relieve that. You sometimes see on top of those antiseptic creams that it is, they are prophylactic. Borolene cream, you will see prophylactic. And Prabhupada has used that word even for the mercy of the Lord. So it is in Ishopanishad, it is mentioned out there. So but here he says, I will get affected by Prataparudra. So I won't meet him. But next day he sees what Prataparudra is doing. He sees that Prataparudra has taken the position of a sweeper. And he's sweeping in front of the Supreme Personality of God, the chariot in front of the Supreme Personality of God. He's given up all of his material consideration. He's given up bhakti, and he's just wanting, because the Lord's lotus feet will go, so I will take up the role of a sweeper. I am the first servant to the Lord. What is your they say introduction? My introduction is, I'm the first servant to the Lord. He's not saying I'm the king of this place of Utkala. No, Prataparudra says, I'm the first servant to Jagannath. The Lord is very pleased. He says, okay, now he is ready. Now I shall give him the particular mercy. Same way to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Gyanis, very big Gyani. But what he does, he's thinking, when he's seeing Mahaprabhu, when Mahaprabhu sees Jagannath and Mahaprabhu goes into ecstasy, everyone else are thinking of different other things. And what is Sarvabhauma thinking? Sarvabhauma is thinking, how will I save this person? This 24-year-old, he's such handsome, he's such nice looking. How will he be able to follow the strict tenets of sannyas? He's not thinking that he's getting liberated. The Lord is cheating him. He's not thinking that. He's thinking how he will save. And what does the Lord see? Lord says, somehow I have to make this fellow. And he pulls him out from Mukti Kama. He pulls him out. He makes him understand. And then he makes him a wonderful devotee. So he makes him a very, very wonderful devotee, of course, and in order to show that, he shows him the six-handed form, which you can see that when you go to Puri. So this is what it is, and this lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God, basically of Gaurachandra, that is where everything exists which can purify us. Why is Ganga pure? Anything happens in our house, even irrespective of devotees, non-devotees, something bad happens, they take Ganga and they sprinkle Ganga water. You will see that. Why is Ganga so pure? Because Ganga has touched the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Ganga has touched the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality, that's why it is pure. So just imagine. Just by changing. So if we can surrender, we will also become that pure. We will also become that pure, and then we don't have to worry about anything. No worries at that time. That time, it will not matter whether I'm successful or I'm failure. The Lord is not seeing that. The Lord is seeing whether he's surrendered or not. The Lord is not seeing whether he's successful in his surrender or failure. If he sees successful, then gone case, Baba. Gone case. He's not seeing the successful or the failure in that. He's seeing, okay, has this person tried? Has Anadi tried? Has Murali tried? Has Sanmuga tried? And if he has surrendered, and so how do we start showing that surrender? The next 2-3 minutes, we'll just conclude. How do we start showing that surrender? Because staying in this conditioned life, I don't know how many millions of lifetimes we have stayed here, and staying in this conditioned life, we have become used to always bossing around. Of course, that is the reason Krishna sent us here, because we thought that why should only you be the boss? Why can't I be the boss? Krishna said, okay, go and try being the boss. Try to manage one household, 1 2 BHK, and see. Or you try, you're thinking I have to manage so many. It's like if I breathe itself, there are so many universes coming. I'm not giving you that much. You just try managing your own household and then see. Manage your own spouse, manage your own child, and then you will see how it is. so so he's given us that bossing around, but then we see that very, very, very difficult. So how do we start up? So the first thing is, if we have to start surrendering to the Supreme Personality of God, we should first start surrendering to our own authorities. We should start first surrendering to our spiritual master. We should first start surrendering to the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Prabhupada put very nicely all of these things in our daily routine. We start almost after we sing the Guru Astaka, and we complete after glorifying the Guru and others. Before we start chanting, we do Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. You all are almost in you all will start chanting. I know just after the class, you were chanting. Keshava Kamni Mataji was chanting very nicely when I joined, very clearly and very loudly. But when we start chanting, what do? That we are actually praying to the devotees. That means we first start surrendering to the devotees. And what does surrender mean? Surrender to the devotees means first trying to do whatever they are instructing. It could be anyone. It need not only be the temple president. It need not only be the senior Vaishnava, but anyone, whomever we are calling Prabhu and Mataji. If they are saying, are we ready enough to accept their things, or we are ready to just argue with them and say that, hey, I have come early, man, to Krishna consciousness, so you cannot instruct me. Please surrender unto my lotus feet. You cannot do that. If they are speaking from the Shastras, and if they're speaking something which is very nice, then we should immediately take up that. We should immediately follow those instructions if they are in the line of Parampara. That will start our surrendering to the lotus feet of the devotees. And when we are on the job training now here, OJT, nowadays internship. This ISKCON here is internship for us. We are getting trained so that when we go back home, back to Godhead, unless your spiritual master has one more place where you have to go and do your internship, you have to go and serve there. So before serving there, you're taking an internship here to serve all the devotees. Now the world is slowly opening up. Otherwise, we were serving only through Zoom. So now as the world goes up and then opens up and you all start doing that, that's a very wonderful chance to serve each other. Whatever instructions, whoever gives, we start following those instructions. Of course, if it is in the line of Parampara, and when we start doing that, life will be blissful. We'll become Abhayam. That's what was the verse today. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In case any one of you have any comments, or you want to correct me, or if you have any questions, we can take that up. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the wonderful and nectarian, and also you explained in a very simple way. Thank you so much, and very nicely you point out the Maharaj thing that even we are on the online, many of the time not attentive. So we have to always, especially the Bhagavatam and all, we have to be very attentive to hear. So then only we can understand. Just not just joining and not hearing your. See, when we are speaking about the glorification about the Lord, we have to find time and to at least be part of that to hear the glorification about the Lord. So we have to completely dedicate that section for this instead of doing something else. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Babu. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the opportunity.
And any questions if you have, please unmute yourself and you can ask.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday morning. You made my day by making me remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His lotus feet. So, thank you. Oh,
Thank you.
Suvarna Gopal Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna, Anadi Jagannath Prabhuji, Dandot Pranams.
Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhu.
Your class was simply amazing. There is no doubt or clarification required.
All
But
glories to
due to my
Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
inquisitiveness, I just want to clarify one thing, Prabhuji. I heard from various acharyas that especially we South Indians, we are so fond of Lord Shiva. A lot of Shiva temples are there in South India. Of course, not two. But when we go to the Lord Shiva's temple, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his wonderful followers, we understood that we should have a feeling that he is the greatest devotee Vaishvanam Yada Shambhu. So we can ask for more Krishna Bhakti. But can you please enlighten me something more about it? Because in my hometown, there are around 7 Shiva temples close by. And we are so fond of going to these temples.
Right.
So can you please enlighten me, because it will be nice for others to convince that, see, instead of asking material benedictions, we can ask Lord Shiva for our spiritual upliftment too. But can you please have some other wonderful thoughts on it, Prabhuji?
Sure.
Thank you,
I'll
Prabhu.
share. Thank you, Prabhu. Suvarna Gopal Prabhu. Very nice question. So, a couple of things which comes to my mind as soon as I hear about Lord Shiva is that, Lord Shiva is such a wonderful devotee of the Lord that he takes on the role of the Lokapal. Means so anywhere you have a Vishnu temple, you will usually have a Lord Shiva guarding that place. Personal servitor. He stands out there. So even in Jagannath Puri, you will find some Lokapals there. If you happen to go to Mayapur, Sridham Mayapur, you will find that adjacent to Rajapur Jagannath, you will have Lord Shiva there. And the Lord is so merciful, and the Lord always wants to reciprocate back with Lord Shiva. So he found out that Lord Shiva's actual place is Ekamreshwar, which is the present day Bhuvaneshwar. So if you go to Bhuvaneshwar, you have Lingaraj, where there are almost 1,000 lingas. And you know what the Lord did? The Lord reciprocated back almost the same way as how he reciprocated back to Bali Maharaj. When Bali gave himself, what did the Lord become? The Lord said, you gave yourself to me, so I will stand as your security guard, right? He was the security guard there, and in one of the class, Sarvabhauma Prabhu was saying that he didn't even have annual leave to come back to Vaikuntha. He used to stand there. So Lakshmi Devi used to go and ask Bali that please grant leave to Trivikrama for some days, because he's standing continuously in front of your house. So similarly, the Lord also, for Lord Shiva, if you go to Lingaraj in Bhuvaneshwar, side of that is Ananta Vasudev's temple. A little tidbits digressing, Ananta Vasudev's kheer is even better than Puri kheer. Try it out sometimes, okay? So Ananta Vasudev is staying there so that he can become the Lokapal for Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva. Just a matter of reciprocation. So he's also giving that respect. But Lord Shiva is Ashutosh. Ashutosh means he gets very easily pleased. He gets so easily pleased that sometimes these demons, like what we saw in today's purport, that he becomes so easily pleased that he gives up any benedictions. And sometimes Lord Vishnu has to go again to help him out, because he's the greatest Vaishnava. So how can Lord Vishnu forget about him? So Krishna has to think, like you remember about the Bhasmasura, right? He said, okay, I'll now try on your head, and then Shiva had to learn about. But then Lord Shiva, if we have to really meditate on something, we should think as to how, if someone goes to Lord Shiva and prays, he gives him Krishna Bhakti. There cannot be a better example than the Prachitas for that. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the prayers of Prachitas, when the Prachitas are going, the Prachitas are actually asked by their father to go and meditate to make themselves pure enough so that they can create progeny. And when they are going, whom do they meet? They meet Lord Shiva. They could have very well worshipped Lord Shiva. and they do respect. A Vaishnava is supposed to give respect to everyone. What to speak about Lord Shiva, who is so we should give respect to Lord Shiva, but give an appropriate respect. And that's when he sees that these people are appropriate, their thought is proper, that they're actually not looking for some material benediction, then Shiva gives them the prayer which they should chant so that they see Vishnu. What is best than that? So if you go to someone for a job and you don't say what job you need, you just say I need a job, and that person finds that you're qualified, he actually gives you the job with his boss. That's what Shiva did. Shiva found that these people are appropriate enough. So you need not be employed with me because you have the right qualification that you can be employed with. So when we go to Vishnu, we should say, hey, Lord Shiva, I think it's a very nice prayer if we can put to Lord Shiva that the way you blessed Prachitas, can you kindly bless us? And specifically in ISKCON, Prabhu, we should all take a lot of things from Prachitas, because cooperation is something which is very much required in ISKCON. Prabhupada said, if you really want to serve me, then you should serve the movement. Sometimes that is a little thing missing out here. Many of your seniors will understand better than me. And Prachitas were epitome of cooperation among all of them. They served so nicely together that the Lord was pleased. So we should pray that also to Lord Shiva, that you give me the rightful understanding that I can also take the mood of Prachita. So however he trained. And of course, Lord Shiva is the head of a parampara. Like we are from the Brahma parampara, but there is a Shiva parampara. Right, and then that Shiva parampara, I think Vishnu Swami comes. So you have that parampara also. So right thing, people don't understand that. That's a different concept. But wherever, like you are so fortunate that you have 7 Lord Shivas in your village. So every day you can go to one Lord Shiva and request him to give blessing. So by the time you come back to Gauranga Desh, you will have like so much strength to preach and become a part, Prabhu. I think that's what would be a good thought to the prayers of Prachitas, I would say.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you for energy.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dineshwar Prabhu, I think, has a question. Can I take up that question, Sriranga Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, of course.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Dineshwar Prabhu, how can I?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danut Pranam Prabhu. Thank you very much for coming to our session today. It is such a wonderful, such a sweet and so simple, very intense. Thank you very much. Prabhu, my kind request, little question is, as you said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually he doesn't see the qualification, but he just gives Krishna Bhakti to everybody. And with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, I am able to listen to your katha and able to associate with such a wonderful devotees here. But Prabhu, sometimes I feel that it is because Lord, one example was Chota Haridas, wherein maybe for some or other reason Lord has not accepted him for one of the incident. So why sometimes I feel that it is very difficult to get the mercy of Lord. Maybe I cannot have such a qualification.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you know, right, when Chota Haridas, you spoke about him, right? I think there of course, Chota Haridas is one case. There is also one more case wherein I forget his name. I think it was he came to the south, specifically to Karnataka, where I belong to, and in Karnataka, the Bhattar ladies are very beautiful. And he got lured by them. I think his name was Krishna Das, if I'm not wrong. Huh? Kala Krishna Das. I'll just say that. So Kala Krishna Das. Mahaprabhu pulled him out. It happened in North Karnataka. Okay, pulled him out and then took him back to Puri. Once he reached Puri, he said, "You cannot stay with me. You cannot stay with me because you transgressed the laws." While Mahaprabhu was merciful, he banished him from Puri. You cannot stay with me. I don't know what happened after that. You know who took up See, this fellow is Patit Pavan, agree. He's better than Krishna, agree. But sometimes even he can be tough. And then who can be more merciful? Only Nitai. What did Nitai do? Nitai took Kalya Krishnadas and said, hello, he's not keeping you, no problem. But you have traveled with him. So you are like, you have no, like Prabhu has written Transcendental Diary of a Traveling Preacher, like our Harisari Prabhu has written. So similarly, he said to Kala Krishna Das, Nityananda Prabhu said, now you write the diary, go to every village of West Bengal. You go, and what you do is you go and preach whatever you saw Mahaprabhu doing. And he became a preacher. Because of Nityananda's mercy. Understand that? So similarly, almost whatever you found in Chaitanya, you will find that in Bhakti Siddhanta. There's a very much collaboration between, I mean, you can find a lot of analogous things. It's like very strict. And whatever you find in Nityananda, you find it in Bhakti Vedanta. Prabhupada, he was like Nityananda Prabhu. He's still merciful. It's like even when Madha is hitting, Nityananda is saying, give him. Mar khaye, prem diye. Who else will do that? Mar khaye, hum mar diye, hum karte hain. But mar khaye, prem diye. Nitai gives mercy, Prabhu. Nitai gives mercy. And that's what is Prabhupada's mood. Where else will you see in Bhaveri when you read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita? Prabhupada enters the room in which Prabhupada was staying. It's mentioned that when they went, the door could not be opened. Prabhupada cannot open the door. Because why? On the door of that, a person is who's drunk is actually lying down. And that person in the Bhaveri with whom he was staying, I think Jim or Tom or whatever his name was, he takes David, he's taking a knife and he's running to kill Srila Prabhupada. And what is Prabhupada doing? Prabhupada is giving mercy. Can you find someone more merciful than that, other than your spiritual master? Your spiritual master is still merciful than Srila Prabhupada. Don't forget that. Guru Vrinda is still merciful than Srila Prabhupada. Specifically for all you devotees, just think, if the Guru Vrinda would not have come to Gauranga Desh or Damodar Desh or to Shyam Desh, where there was a little difficulty in making temples and others, Srila Prabhupada may have gone and established temples, but Guru Vrinda went to all of your places even without temples, sometimes even leaving the dresses of sannyasi, which is not supposed to be left, just to give mercy. So who can be more merciful than our Guru Vrinda? So never be disheartened, Prabhu. Our movement is such a wonderful movement, we should never be disheartened. And it's like it could be Chaitanya, maybe Chaitanya is more merciful for sure than Krishna. But always remember that Bhaktivedanta Swami is still merciful. And our Guru Vrinda to baat hi nahi hai. We are like so fortunate because we are under the care of Guru Vrinda. So we should be very, very, very happy. That should make our day. We should be very chaste to our Guru Vrinda and to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Dineshwar Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Any more questions?
Okay. Yeah, please continue with your chanting. We'll have to take leave of you all.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Is
Krishna.
Anadi Jagannath Prabhu ki jai.
Always. Gurudev ki jai.
Jayapataka Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Srila
Vanchakal
Prabhupada ki
ki
jai.
jai.
Gaura Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo. Vanchakalpatra Vyasta Kripa Sindhubhyo Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo. All glories to Prabhupada and his followers. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sri Ranga Prabhu.
Once again, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you, devotees.
Thank you, Lord. Over to Diksha Mataji, the final ratings, then we can end the program today.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much,
His Grace Anadi Jagannath Prabhu for glorifying the Lord and for the wonderful pravachan. I would also sincerely like to thank all the various devotees present and who rendered their service. And thank you so much. Over to you, Shri Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much for taking up the service today, and thank you so much for all the devotees for joining, and stay with us till the end of the program. We have few announcements before we closing the program, as because we are closing the program a little early, as we have Shastrik that is closed book examinations today. So I need to give some time for the devotees to prepare for the last minute. And before that, we will need some prayer requests from all the devotees for His Holiness Jaipataka Swami Maharaj and other Maharaj and all other devotees for all their good health, long life, to continue their service to please Guru and Krishna. Let us chant 3 times for all these devotees. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all. And we have few more prayer requests from all of you. One is His Grace Vishnu Lokapati Prabhu and Her Grace Chitramali Mataji. They are traveling, they are on the way. So we need prayers for their good health, long life, to continue their services in back home in Coimbatore, to please Guru and Krishna, and for their safe trip. And also we need prayers for Her Grace Kulatibega Mataji. Mataji is also on her way to Canada. We need prayers for her safe trip. And yes, any other prayers?
Just a second.
Hope my voice is clear, audible when I announce.
Clear, Prabhu.
Thank you. And also we need prayers for our dear Rujul, son of Parmeshwar Prabhu, and